Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be working a little bit in our garden and a little bit in our neighbor's garden. The other day I mentioned that we are going to be doing a little bit of a transformation in our neighbor's garden for them. There is a huge rambler rose that hasn't been maintained. It's a bit out of control, to be honest, and we proposed some changes because we were going to originally cut it back on our side of our property line, but and then I really started inspecting the rose and I thought, do you guys actually want this rose? We really need to cut it all the way back if you want to try and save it. So anyways, I'm going to show you guys the rose and what the plan is. We do have somebody coming out and helping us because we know it's actually going to be quite a bit of work to remove it. So Sergey and I met with a contractor to come out to see if he can remove it for us. So they're going to be arriving anytime. So our neighbors are actually out of town. So I'm hoping that we can get this done before they get back. Not the whole transformation, but at least getting this rose all cleaned up. And then I want to come in and start cleaning up a little bit of our side garden here on the opposite side of the house, because we are also going to be creating a little, well, kind of like a new garden room in this space, which we talked about a little bit, almost like a little secret garden for Sergey. So I'm very excited about that. But first, I really do need to work on clearing things out so I can have a better visual of what's going on in this space and how we want to incorporate this into our garden and what we're going to be planting up over here. All right, so we are in their backyard and here is what we're working with. Now, the first thing I wanted to do is clean out the space for them and really rethink how they're utilizing the space. I'm thinking that if we clean this out, this could be a whole new garden spot for them, a little garden room. They have a little bench there that's super heavy, so we probably want to move that. But I'm thinking this tree also probably has to go. It's not doing well. It hasn't been really maintained. I'm pretty sure it has some diseases, but once the rose is gone, I think it'll be easier to kind of assess the situation. And if I go down here, you can definitely tell it's a rambler. You can see, so see, this is our gate with, or I'm sorry, our fence with them, which we will replace at some point. We've told them that we do want to replace our entire fence. So it's kind of a mishmash of situations going on back here. But here is the rose, and you can tell it just takes over everything. My biggest concern with this rose, after assessing it closer up, I'm pretty sure it has rose gall. I can see these cankers everywhere on the rose, which means it's a rose that has to go. So the plan was, because they're on vacation, we weren't going to remove the rose. So what I want to do is still stick to the plan and cut everything at eye level and then remove everything. But once they get back, I will show them that this rose most likely has to go. And honestly, it's not a rose that really does a whole lot for the garden. It flowers once, it's going to get out of control again. I don't know if they want to maintain it as they get older. So really my thought is to remove it. And you can see it creates this big canopy, but look at all of this dead stuff, and there's just some green up top. So it's really not doing anybody justice. And I think what would be better is to plant a beautiful tree here, something new, and create maybe I don't know, maybe some beautiful hydrangeas, something that's going to be super low maintenance, you know, for their garden and for them. Of course, the fig, we're also going to be cutting back drastically. This fig has just gotten way, way out of control. In my eyes, you should never let a fruit tree like this get so big that you have to get on ladders to get on top, unless you feel comfortable getting on ladders. But again, they're getting older. And so I worry, do you really want to be on the top of a ladder trying to get fruit up top? Not really. So a lot of it just goes to waste. So anyways, all to say is this is the rose that is going to be coming out. And I think it's going to drastically open up everything in this space, which is going to be so nice. Here is the rose from this side view here into our garden. So again, this is our property line at this fence here. And again, it just kind of connects and we kind of share that space. And so you can see it's really encroaching into our garden. I'll show you the view from the back yard as well. But it's just such a difficult I guess, rows to maintain. And the first idea was, when we were talking to them, was like, we told them that we were going to cut it back from our side because we would like to start planting in this space, but we really need this to just not be growing like this. And it's obviously like going onto our roof at this point. So I'm happy that they also know that this is a problem and they want to take care of it. And again, because it's something that's going to really improve our garden, I told them, like, we can pay for it. It's totally fine. We just need a solution. Here is the view from our garden. So you can see that this rose, it just overtakes everything. There's nothing really attractive about it. It's really hard to maintain, especially from our side as well. And because it has the diseases, I'm always afraid, because when all of this falls into our garden, I'm always rushing to pick everything up because I don't want anything to spread into our plants. So I think it's going to be such a wonderful thing to get rid of it and rethink this whole space for them. Before they come, Sergey is going to just start cutting them. Again, the plan, I think, once they get back from their trip, is we're going to tell them, like, this row should just be completely removed. But because they're not here, I don't want to change plans on them. So we're just going to start cutting first, and then we'll come in and clean up once they remove everything.
Yep. And I think the idea is to cut above this branch. That way, whatever we do end up keeping, we can... we have something to secure too. So it's not like too low and dangling.
Right.
So we're just gonna, go at it.
All right, have fun.
The wood just looks damaged or old. I mean, rotting.
All right, it's been a couple of hours and they got everything done. And oh my gosh, look at how open the canopy of this tree is. This is insane. So I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but this is a flowering cherry. Although it hasn't really flowered in the last couple of years. We do have to come in, I think Sergey wants to come in and still cut back some of these dead branches just to clean it up before it starts making more of a mess. And then once they come back from their trip, we will talk to them and assess everything again together. Again, after taking so much down, I just don't think this rose is worth keeping. to be completely honest. And I also think this tree, we could also do something a lot better in this space. I mean, it's just, it's kind of a space that's being used as a catch-all, but I do think it could be a really nice little garden room. So I'm going to get some ideas together. What I'm thinking is we clean all of this out. If they want a tree that they don't have to maintain or worry about getting too big, I think even having a beautiful potted tree right over here, that's one of the reasons why I love having trees in containers. Some trees do really well in containers, especially things like maples. So what I'm thinking, if they don't want a tree to get too large over the years, because I think this is their forever home, so I'm trying to also be realistic to them, like how much do you really want to maintain? Do you really want to prune it, maintain it that way? So if we had a potted tree, it'd be something that would be a little bit easier to maintain. The other option is we don't do a tree and we do something like, we can do a grouping of, gosh, let's see. I'm just kind of thinking on the top of my head right now. We could do some oak leaf hydrangeas because those get nice and big. So we can do like a group of 3 and then some smaller plants in between. Again, things that are going to be super low maintenance. If this was my garden, I would plant it all up. I would create a completely different garden room. I would come in with little evergreens. I might do even a pine. If I didn't go the evergreen or the conifer route, I might do a beautiful Japanese maple, like a bloodgood, or you could also do gosh, I'm trying to think of ones that get to a nice size. Maybe like a coral bark would be nice because that also has winter interest with that beautiful colored bark. I would also consider doing a magnolia, a nice evergreen. So if you don't want a conifer, magnolia would be a really good alternative. There's so many beautiful evergreens out there, but magnolias are one of my favorites. So I would completely like do up this space. However, I don't think they want something to maintain. Like they don't want something that's going to require a lot of maintenance. So once they get back, I want to have a sit down with them and really think about what is the best use for this space. And if it is a space that they want to keep for storage and things like that, we can still make it beautiful. We can bring in some pallets. We can maybe build like a little potting bench. We can start organizing things a little bit better. So just make things a little bit more functional and also beautiful, because I do believe even when you have a space where you're going to store things, it can still be beautiful in your garden. So that's going to be my conversation with them. Super OCD and I love to organize spaces. So this is like screaming my name. We can just do something so much better with this whole area. Anyways, next step, Sergey is going to come in and just cut back a lot of these dead canes right here. Again, the goal is going to be to remove this completely, but I just want to come in and clean it up a little bit more just so they can really see, you know, it's not going to be, I don't think it's something that we should fight on keeping. It's just not worth it in my opinion. I will say I am so happy we hired help for this, because once we cut the canes and Sergey just kind of tried to tug on it, he was like, no, like you're going to need to get on a ladder. It's going to be a 2-person job. We're going to have to like pull it from the top, maybe rake it out. And we just didn't have the time to do that. And we were trying to get it done before they get back from their vacation. So I'm so thankful that we were able to hire somebody to come and quickly do this for us this morning. All right, back to our garden. So this is the area that we are going to be working on today. These are the suncredibles that we planted in a little hedge earlier in springtime. Was it springtime? No, it was probably like late spring, summertime. I can't recall. But anyways, they did so well for not having full sun. I was actually super impressed at how well these little flowers did, and I highly recommend them. They are an annual for us. However, I think some of you had mentioned that they might come back. Either way, we're going to just go ahead and remove them. I actually might cut some, not for the flowers, but for the spent blooms. Look at how interesting this is in an arrangement. So if you just pull all the petals off, look at that. Just leaving that back. I think that's so interesting. Anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this back. I also have this black mondo grass that I do want to move. I don't want to get rid of it, but I do want to move it from here. This is where we had that low water feature base. So we are going to go ahead and just be planting and changing things up over here. But once we get things cleared out, I'll have a better idea of what we want to do. Because again, I'm thinking removing the grass, coming in with some trees, maybe a vine because we have such a big blank wall right here on the side of our house. So there's a lot of possibilities, but first we have to get things cleared out in order to see the full entire space. All right, we got everything cleaned out right over here. I ended up leaving some of the roots in just because those will decompose and it's actually good for the soil. So I didn't have to lift up all of the Suncredibles that we had here. I ended up leaving the grass just because I wasn't ready to transplant it today. But now if I step back, I can start to really see the space and really start planning out and just sketching what we want to do. Ideally, I think we would want to start out, well, I don't know if we're going to right away, but I would like to also start removing this grass because this grass really doesn't provide anything for us. In fact, it gets so muddy back here. You see, look at that, that in the wintertime, this is what it does. And nobody wants to be back here because of the situation. Now, if I point up, look at what a huge difference that made. Do you see how open everything is? We cut the branch that was coming up onto our property. Now, ideally, because we don't want just like a nub sticking out, we'll cut it all the way back. But I just want our neighbors to see everything first before we, make any big decisions like that. But I honestly feel like you can breathe better in this space. It's the oddest feeling, but you really can breathe better in this space. There's so much more airflow and light coming through, which will drastically change what we decided to plant in this space. And I just wanted to give you one more look. Sergey came out and he just, again, tried to prune back everything that was dead. Again, now that we've really pruned this back, and honestly, it can be pruned back way more. We were just out of space in our yard debris bins. This tree, in my opinion, has to go. It's not structurally beautiful. It's not going to provide a whole ton. And now that there's so much like of an open canopy, these branches are going to get beat on. And every time we were cutting things, we just see a lot of dead branches. So this tree is honestly on its way out. Same with the rows that we cut back. We left 4 main canes. And the idea was to have them kind of crawl onto this tree and use this tree almost as like an obelisk, but really, like from a design perspective, I don't think that's going to be beautiful long term, especially because this is a rambler rose, so it's going to bloom once and that's it. So it's not adding any value to this space of their garden, and this space could be just utilized with something so much more beautiful. And we'll obviously talk to them once they get back. But even having this done is such a huge improvement of how things really look and feel and the potential that this garden space has. And this is the view from our back garden. So you can see, again, just with that gone, so much more light coming into our garden. We still need to come in and just sweep off the roof of their shed. I just don't know. I don't think we can get on top of it. So Sergey's gonna have to get the tall ladder and just maybe go up there with a broom and sweep that off. And I know it's probably just gonna come falling down over here, but that's okay because I'll just quickly pick it up because I'm trying to pick up all of those diseased leaves off of our garden because I don't want it to spread anywhere into our garden. But oh my gosh, you guys, it's so much better. Like, it's so much better. I cannot wait for them to come home because I'm like, all of the ideas are flowing and I just want to get their opinion and see what they want to do. Even if they just want to leave it as is for now, that's fine. That's not my recommendation, but I do think we can come in and do something really beautiful over there. Anyways, that will wrap it up for today's project. Another project in the works, but also a part of it in the books, which is always really nice and satisfying to get done. I am very happy that we got to do this before all of those leaves started to fall off, because what happens is when the rose starts dying back and it gets colder and we get our hard frost, everything falls and it just blows into my garden. And it's just one of those really obnoxious things. But now that the rose is really cut back, we're not going to have that issue anymore, which I'm again so thankful for, and I'm excited for them to see all of the progress that we made while they're gone. Anyways, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today in my garden and their garden. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.